An exhausted workforce, people sleeping on their breaks, others falling asleep as they work. In 2010, after 14 workers killed themselves at another factory producing iPhones, once in, our reporters were overwhelmed by the workload. Shifts have overtime built in, so workers regularly do more than 60 hours a week, more than Apple's guidelines.
Hey guys, I'm Simarya, and welcome to our podcast. Joining me today are some very amazing humans. Would you all mind introducing yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jake.
I'm Rohan.
Hi, I'm Priyanka.
I'm Tashi.
Okay, great. So before we get started, if you have any of your electronic devices with you, like phones, AirPods, and Apple Watches, could you please take them out? So this is something I'd like everybody listening at home to do as well. Take off the cases and see where your devices were made.
Yeah, so I just took off this case for my iPhone, and the back of the iPhone says iPhone, but the inside of the case in like really fine print says assembled in China.
Yeah, my case also says that.
Yeah, my AirPods say that too when I open them.
Yeah, same here on my phone case.
Okay, so it looks like all your devices were made in China. How about your clothes? Take a look at the tags on the back of your shirts or the inside of your shoes. So what brands are you wearing and where were your products made?
Here, I can look at your tag.
Yeah, my Nikes were made in China.
Yeah, my Nike shoes were made in Indonesia.
Yeah, your shirt was made in China.
Yeah, my Nike shoes I got on right now were made in Vietnam.
Okay, so here's something those countries that you just mentioned, like China, Vietnam, and Indonesia, all have in common. They all employ child labor, and their employees work in sweatshops.
Oh yeah, I've heard about some of these negative things about sweatshops, but what are they really?
Well, sweatshops are factories or workshops, especially in the clothing industry, where workers are employed to do manual labor under harmful conditions for long hours and low wages. We're going to focus on the ones in China because it's no secret that China is responsible for producing most of the goods that the world uses today. There are countless factories all over China making everything from shoes to computers. But the workers inside these factories are unfairly treated, and it is a key human rights issue that is affecting millions. We're going to explore this issue and talk about what you can do to help.
Okay, so why doesn't China have good working conditions in their factories?
It seems that the Chinese government prioritizes revenue over human rights. According to many labor experts, Western companies want their Chinese suppliers to have lower prices, but they also want factory owners to upgrade operations, treat workers properly, and in turn improve the quality of their products. China has no federal minimum wage, so it's up to the companies to decide how much, or rather how little, employees will be paid.
So wait, America is the reason that these people are forced to work in sweatshops because of this pressure and because we want to buy things cheaper?
Yeah, that's part of it. China has to make the decision between reducing prices and increasing economic growth or upgrading manufacturing conditions and treating workers with care. It's a clear choice if you ask me.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I just read this news article from the Shanghai Academy of Social Sciences, and it says, according to study, factory workers in the Pearl River Delta in Hong Kong lose or break about 40,000 fingers on the job every year.
40,000?
That's
That's
insane.
crazy, yeah. Oh my God.
And that's not all. Many workers try to commit suicide because of the monotony and pain during a regular workday. In 2010, workers in the Foxconn factories that make Apple products were committing suicides. Workers in the Longhua assembly line were jumping off buildings in broad daylight. There were 18 suicide attempts and 14 confirmed deaths in that year alone. Foxconn officials had to talk down 20 more people who wanted to attempt suicide.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
14 deaths?
Yeah,
crazy.
I think it's horrible that these companies don't even offer any type of mental health services.
Yeah,
and
I
just-
agree. And I honestly didn't even know that there were suicides at these places.
Yeah, I didn't know China did this.
Yeah.
And that's not all. If you look at their suicide notes, they talked about long workdays, crazy stress, and harsh managers who humiliated workers for making mistakes. They were fined for unfair reasons, and they were not given the benefits that they were promised. Workers were forced to sleep on the floor in dormitories with up to 30 people sleeping in a single room.
That's honestly just crazy. I can't even share a room with my sister. I can't imagine sharing it with 30 people in a single room. My God.
So obviously Foxconn knows about this, but are they doing anything about this?
They did something about it, but their response was rather controversial. The CEO of Foxconn, Terry Gu, installed large nets outside a lot of buildings so that they wouldn't catch people who tried to jump off. Counselors were hired and workers had to sign pledges that said they wouldn't attempt suicide.
Wait. They had to sign pledges that they wouldn't attempt suicide.
Yeah,
That's
it's
odd.
so
That's
messed
ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
up. And Chinese factories have inhumane working conditions that are breaking Chinese labor laws. There's a law that says a person cannot work more than 36 hours overtime per month, but in peak production season, people are working 80 to 175 overtime hours a month.
Jeez, how can you stay up that long?
No,
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Like 80 to 175 hours.
This is all terrible, but what exactly can we do about it?
Well, we can start with raising awareness about this issue. You guys didn't seem to know much about the working conditions of Chinese factories,
Yeah.
and it's possible that many people don't know about it either. We're raising awareness right here and now with this podcast, and you can do your part by educating yourself and those around you about this human rights issue that is affecting millions.
And I mean, I agree that I did not realize how big of an issue this was until you just educated us. And I think we should just stop buying from these companies if they do have inhumane working conditions. I know I'm going to stop buying my shoes from Nike. And I just wanted to know, like, what are some of these major companies that have these sweatshops? Like, what should we be avoiding?
Yeah, okay, so I just looked it up, and most major companies do use sweatshops. And a few of these include Apple, Google, Microsoft, Dell, Tesla, Nike, Adidas, H&M, Forever 21, Gap, Lululemon, Shein, and Ross. I'm definitely guilty. Yeah.
I mean, same. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
guilty of buying all of those things. And it's so shocking that such major companies have these sweatshops.
Yeah. So like I think another thing we can do is buy from companies who don't have their products made in sweatshops. I just looked it up, and countries like Japan and the United States don't have their products made in sweatshops. These include Goodwear USA, Roundhouse Jeans, Northstar Leather, Epson, Nintendo, Sony, and Panasonic.
And another thing you can do is also shop at their stores and buy secondhand.
Yeah, these are all great ways to help stand up to the inhumane working conditions in factories around the world, especially China. Now let's look at what people are already doing. Luo Fuxing was a worker in a sweatshop in the Guangdong province at the age of 14, and he hated that the work was so tedious. He felt that the factory was a prison and quit a job for one in the hair salon, where he worked in better conditions. He used his experience in the hair salon to set the trend for a hairstyle inspired by Japanese manga and punk fashion.
Nice.
Hundreds of thousands of factory workers in his age group copied his style, and it allowed young factory workers coming from different provinces to bond. People who adopted this hairstyle were called the shamate, which was a Chinese rendering for smart. Luo Fuxing was only a teenager when he started a movement to raise awareness about the working conditions in the factories around him, and you can too.
Yeah, so that was like a really powerful story because I think we're all around the same age as him. So obviously there's something we can do too.
Yeah.
And-
Really
Thank you for
inspiring.
educating us on this. We didn't know anything about this before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Some of these facts are really going to stick with us.
Yeah, and I thought like fast fashion was only for like the cheaper brands, like and knockoffs, and I didn't realize that these big companies had sweatshops in China.
This can really help other people think twice about what they buy now.
Yeah, we should definitely publicize it.
Yeah.
And we're going to. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a great day.
Music brought to you by the YouTube library. I would also just like to thank our amazing host Simarya again and all our guests, and a special shout out to some of our resources, David Barboza for providing us the In Chinese Factories, Lost Fingers, and a Low Pay article in the New York Times. Thank you to Cheris Brown for educating us on the 100 brands at Clark Shopping Center. And thank you to The Economist, The Sustainable Living Guide, The Guardian, and thank you to Theo Waite a investigator for the New York Post, educating us. And I would just like to say to all the news members out there that your work is really impactful.